different activities to really be a part of their high school programs. And I'm not talking, like downhill skiing or I think gymnastics is very unique. I think hockey is a very unique sport as well. But for the most part, and I've been around a lot of professional athletes that they talk about the specialization is killing sports. It's not helping. And the overlapping of sports is actually hurting our youth, their skill development, their life lesson development, because they're not having opportunity to experience different things.
Yeah, and the intensity I was talking about before actually is I think that even we played intense volleyball in the summer on a painted court in my yard in high school. That was intense. I mean, we were dedicated. I think it's the logistical intensity that you described, that they're long events, because it can't be, well, we've played some games, everybody competed, let's go home. They want to have continuing rounds, that they want to go to venues. And you look at how much time you put in the car just for that. That is an industry all in itself, is the industry of getting kids to play. And you'll see somewhere it's not just, you look at that 93% isn't going to play after high school. You look at, just to have a good competitive day, you'll see kids are thinking they have to go to these events where they shouldn't be there. It's not where they should be where they are now for their level of development. It has nothing to do with, someday can they play like that. They're being lured into these things. And at that point, and that's another thing, because you really don't ever say you don't belong here. But for instance, we could get real specific. My kids play a lot of lacrosse. So that's a pretty regional specific sport. But I'm from the Midwest, and that's actually where I learned to play. So I know that it's come very far. But to ask people to travel by plane for middle school, early high school, to fly to another part of the country and to fly back, it puts a lot of guilt on the kids too. They feel the pressure of the investment, and coaches will use that and say, hey, your parents have spent a lot of time and money here. And that's the intensity that just isn't necessary.
I absolutely 100% agree. And, thinking back on my own personal career, I played a little bit of, I guess, starting in 7th grade, but it wasn't anything that was forced upon me. I actually lived in Albany, New York. Starting in 7th grade, I played what they called the Empire State Games. It's like a kind of a junior mini Olympics, in New York State. And I wanted to do this. I heard about it. I wanted to do it. So what I did is I actually lived in Albany throughout the summer, but I didn't play like AAU and all of that until I want to say that I was in 10th grade. And I love the part that, you said you went out and played, in your backyard and played volleyball intensively and all that. That's what I think is missing. We are not allowing our youth to be creative. Everything is very organized. Everything is very strategic, planned out. We're going to travel miles on end. You have to do this or else you're going to lose out or you're going to fall behind. And the truth of the matter is, if you look at statistics, that's just not true. And, that's one of the things when I go out and I'm speaking, I really try to educate parents on that. It's really important that we are giving our youth opportunity to develop and use their creative minds to go out and explore the outside. I grew up just like, you were saying, I would go out and play football for hours with my brothers. I have 2 brothers. I have a younger brother and an older brother, and they both played football. And in our neighborhood, that's what we did. We would go out and play wiffle ball for hours. And that's what we did. And when I think about where I lived, I had a little, really small yard, but that's where we played. And we thought it was the greatest thing And we're not giving our kids that opportunity to discover different things, to be creative, to make up games. I mean, we used to make up crazy games, of tag and different things. We'd go out in the woods, and the kids have no idea how to use their creative minds anymore. And so when they are faced with a problem that they have to solve, whether it be in school with academics, whether it be something in life, they don't know how to tap into that creative mind because we've organized so many things. We've almost created the path for them rather than allowing them to create the path for themselves, really, and think for themselves. And sport is absolutely, no different with that. This is what we as adults are doing to our youth, and the youth are feeling the pressure for it. And the unfortunate thing is that less of them are playing, or they're feeling the pressure where they start to play and then they are dropping out. And I think we need to keep kids involved in sport because of the life lessons it teaches. Sure, it teaches you how to be successful, but that should not be why we're playing sports. We should not be playing in sports to win games, to be talented in that moment. Like you said, the development aspect of it, until you're in maybe 10th grade, we should be focusing on fundamental skills, not playing games and games and games. I have a nephew who is 6 years old and plays hockey. And he called me the other day and he's like, Aunt Missy, he's like, I have 4 games today.
Yeah.
He's 7 years old. He's in first grade and he loves it. He's passionate about it, but it's too much. Like he needs to be coming home and, doing stuff with his friends and playing outdoors. And like I said, being creative. And I just think we're headed down the wrong direction. And even more so, I think parents and coaches are not being educated properly about what sports can really do for people. I think we've become, not everybody, but we've become more selfish in the reasons why we're coaching, and the reason why we're playing sport, and the reason why parents are putting kids in sport. And it's not to teach the life lessons. It's about, almost getting selfish recognition for themselves, a certain amount of pride for themselves and status. And it's really kind of a shame with the direction that we're headed. So, that's one of the things I love to do is just get out and really educate the parents and really have honest conversations with them, let them share with me their struggles. And just like you said, the struggle that you have as a parent with your kids in lacrosse. And, it's tough. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. And the key thing that you've been talking about was I'm paraphrasing here, which really we need to give the right type of encouragement. We'll encourage kids to, we do encourage them to focus and to stick with something too long, but instead the encouragement of, they'll just try it. And I'm going to use that as a little bit of a segue here to your Hall of Fame speech, because, definitely I think, people who can, can you give people your information too? Because you've got a link on, to that video that we're going to get into, and I wanted people to know where to find it so they can actually see your speech as we talk about it. But quickly, what are the best ways for people to get in contact with any of your blog posts or anything else that you have?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, if you want to see the Hall of Fame speech, which was on July 2nd this past summer, you can just go to YouTube and just type in Missy West National Hall of Fame speech, and it should pop right up if you just go to Google and do that. But I'm more than happy to. I try to answer every single email that I get. My email address is actually West, so it's WESTM in Missy 2520@gmail.com. My Twitter is @Missy West 25. My Instagram is it's Miss West, so MISWEST 25. And then my blog is medium.com/@MissyWest25. So I think if you Google my name, a lot of that stuff hopefully pops up. I do post a lot of stuff of what I'm speaking and what I'm speaking about, and I work for the Positive Coaching Alliance and do a lot of great things for that organization. So please feel free to reach out to me, any way that I can help, I really would love to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I actually pulled down the transcript of your speech because I wanted to make sure, because there were some really cool parts in it. But if you can you describe you had an opening story, and it was about making a choice on which voices to listen to, talking about your earlier softball pitching days. Can you give that story?
Yeah, I absolutely can. So the whole, the start of it was when I was in 7th grade. I was asked to play on the varsity softball team. And up until that point, I had never played softball. I always was a basketball player. And so, I grew up in, like I said, upstate New York. I didn't know how to pitch windmill. I've never done it before, but I was asked to be the pitcher on the varsity team. And being young, I was 13 years old, playing with 17 and 18-year-old girls. And I remember going out on the mound and playing in one specific game that really comes to mind. And we lost that game and many others after, simply because I walked every single batter home. And it wasn't because, the opponent came up with big hits or my teammates created errors. It was honestly because I could not pitch a strike. And we lost so many games. And I remember feeling embarrassed, ashamed, just lack of confidence. I did not want to go back out there. I felt really lousy. I felt like I let my team down, my coach down, my family down, the community down. And I remember as I was going through these emotions and continuing to pitch, looking up and seeing my mom continue to support me. My father, he's not a man of many words. I just had to look at him and knew that he believed in me. And then, my coach always, you got the next batter. My teammates, I'd walk, 5, 6, 7, 8 batters in a row. We got to focus on this next batter. And I remember during that time, it's like, the devil and the angel, you have, one on each shoulder, and the devil's telling you need to quit, you need to give up, you need to walk away, you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, leave it. And then you have the angel saying, you got to keep trying. You got to believe in yourself. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. You got to keep putting in the effort. You got to listen to, the coach that was telling me to keep trying. My parents were super supportive. My teammates who had my back, who could have easily said, get her off the mound. She's killing us. They never did that. And when I had those moments of decisions, it wasn't an easy decision. I remember going home and crying many nights because of it. And I was scared to go to practice and scared for that next game. But I ended up listening to that angel, and that told me to keep trying and not quit, and listen to the positives that were coming out of people's mouths, not the negatives. And I'm not saying there was no naysayers or no one that didn't believe in me, but I could have chosen that moment a completely different path. And that the easiest thing for me to do in that moment would be to quit. And this was in 7th grade, and if I would have quit, I would have never experienced a state high school championship. I would have never became an All-American softball player. I would have never been inducted into any of these Hall of Fames, and the New York State Softball Hall of Fame and this National Hall of Fame and New York State, Hall of Fame, all these things, had I not stuck it out. So my whole purpose and point of it is that sports is an opportunity where we learn how to become our best selves, where, that sport teaches us really, truly, honestly, life lessons. And in those moments where we're discouraged and things get hard and it's a struggle, well, it's through sport that gives us the opportunity to keep trying. And we as coaches, we as parents, to be in the moments of these struggles, be encouraging our youth and our athletes to continue working to develop. I talk a lot about, currently in my presentations, I talk a lot about the growth mindset. And this is something that Carol Dweck, who's a great author, there's a book called The Growth Mindset that I encourage every single human being to read. I promise you it's going to make you a better person and be able to function better in life. But the growth mindset is all about focusing on your effort over focusing on your talent. So, right here in this moment, right now, I have a certain level of skill. and it doesn't define me. It's not who I am right now in this moment. I have a long ways to go. Let's talk about being a speaker. I just started becoming a motivational speaker. I don't know all the ins and outs and the perfect way to do it yet. I have a long